This we're gonna destroy these actually. Alright, so this is my experimental stream for streaming with a science teacher. So we're playing
I ain't got it, you don't want it.
we're playing World of Warcraft right now while answering or talking about anything science related or teaching related, which should be really interesting combination if you ask me. We will see what types of stuff we're going to end up talking about, what advice I could possibly give any teachers teaching science or wondering how they can approach teaching certain topics in science, or if you just want to talk about science in general, we could go that route. My forte, personally, my major interest lies in earth science and space science. Obviously, by my shirt and my tie. So yeah, so that's kind of like my forte, but anything else I am definitely open to. So next year, so I currently teach 7th grade, 8th grade, and 9th grade. So next year I'll be for next school year I'm teaching a section of 8th grade physical science, which is like a little bit of science potpourri, and so we cover chemistry, we cover physics, we cover earth science, pretty much anything except biology in that class. And then I teach a strict earth science class, strictly only earth science. So obviously we do everything to do with earth science in that class, astronomy, energy, weather, anything like that. Right now we're doing the earthquakes and the age of the earth and all that jazz. And my other class that I'll be teaching next year is it's going to be more of a physical science with a mix of biology. So that's going to be definitely challenging for me personally. But you know, I'm kind of a learn as I go, and I'm going to start, you know, using the tactics that I used for learning how to teach physical science and earth science in learning the how to teach bio. So it's going to be definitely interesting, and going to be a learning experience, just like all teaching is. And I'm multitasking right now, obviously, because I'm trying to figure out where I'm going to head next in this game. Okay, I know where I have to go. So I was looking at yeah, we gotta go here. Thinking of some random stuff to talk about. Some of my students actually came up to me today and they were like, have you heard of the because we're doing porosity and permeability, so how things how easily a substance can allow water to flow through it. So apparently there's this cement that they invented. It's called like permeable cement or porous cement. I don't remember exactly what it's called. And essentially what happens is they pave the roads with this stuff. It's definitely more expensive. It looks like normal concrete. I don't know if anyone has seen this stuff. And they do a demonstration, and if they flood the whole area and all the water just disappears into the cement. It's actually super crazy. So I was actually pretty impressed because when we were doing the topic in class, you know, we were learning about how water flows through different types of soils, and the kid, you know, made the connection And he's like, oh, I saw this thing called porous cement or permeable cement, and you know, I ended up looking it up with him after class, and it was super cool. It's super crazy. What they really need to do is invent some type of road or something, or pavement that doesn't have potholes created into it. Because I don't know where you guys live, but by me during this winter, the potholes were out of control, absolutely out of control. Like, you hit one of these things and you're gonna, you know, your tire's gonna pretty much pop. So I had a friend that hit 2 of these potholes recently, that had to get her tire fixed like 2 times in a week. It was unbelievable. So we were talking about actually how the potholes are formed. So we go through the whole frost action process and how we get more potholes. I'm from the Northeast, so we have a climate that is generally warmer in the summers and gets pretty cold in the winter. So these potholes essentially are created because the liquid water leaks into the little cracks in the road, right? And then at night it cools down a lot, so the water expands, and then when it freezes, and that crack gets a little bit wider, so the gap increases, and then it melts during the day again, and then more water gets in, right? And then the process repeats as it cools and expands, and the crack gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And this happens so much that we can't keep up with fixing them. So we need to invent, you know, the person that invents this this unpotholeable, is that a word? Road is going to be a multimillionaire. So obviously a bunch of my kids are now trying to figure out how they're going to make a road with no potholes. Hey, good for them. Power to them. If they can figure it out, they definitely deserve the money. We're just flying here, waiting to land in this spot. So today we did what did we teach today? We did relative age and sequencing. So sequence of events. We learned about how you have a mountain essentially of rocks, and you know, scientists end up being able to figure out all the rocks on the bottom of the layer are older than the rocks on the top layer, and the kids have to like put the different rock layers in order. And we have like the smart board on the front of the screen, and I have the kids coming up manipulating objects, so they have to like use their finger, and they can move the objects. They got to put them in the right order. I don't know if anyone's interested, but I have a lot of good resources that are really easy to set stuff up like that for the kids to be coming up to the board during class to manipulate objects. But then the good part about these applets is that once you're done using them in class, they're on a website, you know, so you can post that link to your website as an educator, and the kids can access it at home and do it for practice. So it's like you're killing 2 birds in 1 stone. I'm all about the efficiency, and obviously whatever is going to help the kids do the best. Tomorrow they have their hands-on version, lab practical, where they got to go through different stations. So they got to do one station where they got to find out where an earthquake happened, which is pretty cool. They use like a triangulation sort of method where they draw a circle that shows where the earthquake could have occurred around a certain radius, right, of that one city, and then they have to do it around another city. So that gives you 2 circles that intersect, but that only narrows it down to 2 points. And then they do a 3rd city, so that's going to be your last intersection point, and then they figure out where the earthquake happened. So that's pretty cool. And then the station where they have to identify certain rocks and minerals, so we learn all about how to tell, you know, I give them the rock samples in class, and we set it up in the class, and they learn how to identify between 3 different rocks and how they're formed. Pretty cool. And they like that station. And then the 3rd one is learning about how planets travel in elliptical orbits in space. So they have to like draw an ellipse, which is like the oval shape, and then they have to understand all of Kepler's laws. So they figure out that when the planet's closer to the sun, right, it travels faster. When it's away, it travels slower. It's all cool stuff. I found this there's this website Actually, we'll talk about this app first. So one of my favorite things that I swear by, that actually my whole science department does, is called ZipGrade. If you have not heard of ZipGrade, and you're an educator, you are severely missing out. What this thing does is, it's an app you download on your phone, and they actually they do a trial period for it, so you can actually test it out. It's pretty much a Scantron machine that lives on your cell phone. So what happens is you essentially you go on zipgrade.com, and they provide you with the answer sheets. So it's like this is a bubble sheet, and you just make a bunch of copies of it. You print one out, and run off. I run it off with the test. So my kids are just programmed. They know what this thing looks like, and essentially it's got QR codes on the outside. Those are those little black boxes that you could scan with your cell phone. And once the kid bubbles in all their answers, you take your phone, you hold it over their test, and it zaps the test, and it saves the copy of their test with their name in it in your phone, so you have it as a record, and it grades it. It grades it in about a half a second. So, like I'm known in my school for getting these kids their test grades back so fast, and I know they really appreciate it. But there's a bunch of benefits to it besides it being really quick and efficient. A big benefit is that now your grades are stored in your phone. So, if you lose a test or something like that, you have all the images saved in your phone. And the second good thing is that it does item analysis. So you can actually, you can go through and you can, see what percentage of each of the kids got what question wrong. Super cool. It's called ZipGrade. I highly recommend you look into it if you are a teacher. So next year I have this goal to develop some sort of project that I'm really into astronomy, so maybe some sort of like astronomy based assignment. I don't know what it's going to be yet, but I want it to take I want it to be like 4 or 5 weeks long. Something I'm really intrigued with is what's going on? Something I'm really intrigued is like the Type 1 and Type 2 and Type 3 civilizations in the universe. There's a super awesome scientist named Michio Kaku. He's this Asian scientist, and he pretty much, he's a theoretical physicist, and he says that essentially before we can evolve and colonize other solar systems, that we first need to all get along. We need to create this like utopian society, right, where everyone gets along, because the only way we're going to be able to invest the money and put the resources and time into getting off this planet and expanding is if we all work together, right? And you say that now and you're like, oh my god, with all the stuff that's going on, how are we possibly going to ever achieve that? So it's either the two options are we are going to achieve it and we're going to become some like utopian race and be able to leave the planet and harness the fuel of the star and like build this like octopus looking metal contraption around our sun and like utilize its fusion energy to like have unlimited energy, and the only way to get there is if we all get along, right? The other option is we die essentially if we don't achieve that. The only reason we wouldn't get there thousands of years in the future is if we pretty much blow each other up with these nuclear bombs that we're creating. But I think it's cool to think about like the futuristic, like if we were to become that Type 1 civilization where we can all get along and develop all these crazy technologically advanced things to enhance our lives, then what are some inventions that we could possibly invent? Obviously, I think it would be sweet, and I know these kind of exist already. I think it would be really cool if we develop some sort of like nano robots that essentially you can inject, like, get a shot at the doctor, and there'd be these little robots that you can't even see that swim through your bloodstream, and they can help your cells like repair your body. Like maybe they will like go in and like target cancer cells and they'll just annihilate them. That's something that's totally possible in my opinion. To be honest, I don't think we're that far away from developing something like that. Wouldn't that be nice? You just, oh, you know, you develop this brain tumor, right? Just go to the doctor and get a shot of nanobots. And they go, they you know, you're asleep at night and they just go in and destroy the tumor and you're all better the next day. I think that'd be awesome. You know, or maybe like, my kids always ask me in school, they're like, oh, like, when do you think we're gonna get to the point where we're gonna, like, live forever, you know? And I tell them, I'm like, the only way that would be possible that I could see right now is if we could possibly, you know, utilize computers to do it. So essentially, the idea is you would be able to plug in to a computer and upload your consciousness to a computer, right? And now your brain and your memories and your you essentially are inside of a computer, and you're able to what do I have to do on this? You're able to kind of live through the computer. Now you wouldn't be in your body, so does that mean that you're not you? You know, that's sort of can turn into like an ethical question, right? But once you're in that computer system and your consciousness is pretty much preserved forever, then maybe there could be another like body that's created for you, maybe out of like, I don't know, grown through like stem cells or just maybe a machine, and then you could have your consciousness like re-uploaded into that machine. That would be cool. Then I mean, then you could live forever, right? Because then you're a robot, and every time if your arm accidentally breaks off, then doesn't matter. You can just go rebuild it. You wouldn't have to worry about sickness. You wouldn't have to worry about getting hurt in any way. You just, you'd have that backup essentially file saved on some computer somewhere, and you would you would just persist. Then that's some serious ethical and moral argument to be had there. But cool idea nonetheless. I actually I showed a video to one of my classes the other day, and I wonder if anyone has seen it. It's this guy who he just looks like a random, regular old average Joe construction worker, and he I guess he works with like molten material for some reason. And the video is him. It's like, imagine a cement mixer, except the cement mixer has lava coming out of it, right? It pours out lava. He goes up to the cement mixer with the lava, where the lava's pouring out. He takes his hand, and he just goes really fast and passes his hand right through the lava. And nothing happens. Nothing happens to him. You know when you like put your finger through a little candle flame really quick and it doesn't hurt you? That's essentially the same concept, but I don't quite understand how. I mean, it was a lot. It was a lot of lava. You can search it up, but it was crazy. I mean, and I showed it to the kids, and I was like, "Yo, what do you guys think about this?" And you know, no one really understood how it was possible. I haven't actually, you know, like looked into. I haven't really like looked into that video. I'm sure you could just Google it and figure out the science behind it.
I'm out of range.
Another thing I found that the kids always find fascinating, that I think is fascinating too. We talk about black holes all the time. They always ask about black holes and how they're formed and where they lead, and you know, what happens if you go inside one, and where do they go. And you know, it's amazing that you get the kids to think like this. But you know, over the course of time, for me, like the first time I've got that question from a kid, you know, it's tough. It's a tough question to answer because number one, we really have no idea. So you're pretty much just giving the kids, you know, I always establish that we don't know. But then you give the kids, you know, all the possible options, and it could get absolutely crazy, like what the discussions we get into. And then they go home and they tell their families, and it's funny. They probably think that I'm crazy. You know, we talk about if you could possibly get through the black hole somehow, maybe you'd be warped into another universe that, you know, you're the emperor of the universe in, or that, you know, all of us have the heads of dinosaurs and the feet of chickens, but we still live on Earth, but, you know, water is actually apple juice. We talk by making clicky sounds, or we just, you know, I don't know. So we go on, we talk about like alternate universes and the multiverse and all that stuff, and they get a kick out of that. I definitely think something scary, you know, something scary that they're going to probably develop sooner than later is some way to like read minds. I think we're going to be able to, we're learning a lot about brains. So I think like sooner than later we're going to have some technology to be able to do some like mind reading stuff. It'll be like the next form of like torture. You know, to get information from enemies, you'll be able to just like hook them up to this thing and just like start reading their mind, and that would be crazy. That's when things are gonna get absolutely crazy. Do you guys have any specific questions about anything, or anything you're interested in having a conversation about? Anyone in here that wants to talk about anything random? I'm just kind of, you know, talking about whatever's in my head at the moment.
Yo,
which is normally
be good.
crazy, but that's okay. I watched a video the other day of a anaconda that eats a capybara.
What's the word on the street?
I think that's how you say it, a capybara, I think, animal. These animals are like, I don't even know, the size of like a, you could look up an image of them. I mean, they're like the size of like a golden retriever, a bit bigger than that, but a big dog. But they looks like a mole, like a rat thing. I don't even know. It looks like a giant beaver, essentially. And you watch the anaconda just like literally snap at it, and you watch the whole thing. It just like devours it, and it's scary. The anacondas are absolutely enormous. Fun fact: my grandparents, they like go on world cruises and they travel the world and stuff all the time. They told me they've been everywhere. I mean, they've been on helicopters over Antarctica, on tours, everywhere you can imagine. And they told me the absolute worst place they've ever visited out of any place they were was the Amazon rainforest. they went to the Amazon rainforest, and my grandpa said that number one, whoops, what just said? What did I do? I'm just jumping out of a plane here. My grandpa said that he couldn't even breathe because it was so humid, and everything, like, they took like a river cruise essentially down the Amazon River. There was so many bugs. It was like you couldn't even function. And he was like barefooted, and they went out on the land, and he said it was disgusting, and his feet were like he was stepping on all these things. And well, moral of the story is don't go to the Amazon rainforest. They have anacondas there. That's where that came from. Oh my god, I just absolutely failed at this. Yeah, you should definitely check it out. Anaconda eating. They also have one anaconda eats a crocodile. That is pretty nuts to watch. It's all cool stuff. It's amazing, like the different types of creatures that they have on this planet in general. A couple months ago, I went to Disney. I don't know if any of you have ever been to Disney World, but I went to this place called Animal Kingdom, and I got to see some of the creatures they had there and kind of learn about like how they operate and stuff. And one of the things they had there was a Komodo dragon. You know what I'm talking about, right? They literally look like a giant lizard, and you see pictures of these things and you don't actually realize how big they are. This thing was basking on a rock. It was, I'm not even exaggerating, it was probably about 9 feet long from the tip of the tail to the nose. It was enormous, and it was scary. Super, super cool animal. What am I doing in this here? Oh, we're delivering packages from the Earth here. You know what's funny? I keep thinking of things I would like to talk about, and then I start talking about one thing, and then I forget about the next thing that I remembered I wanted to talk about. So I was telling the kids the other day, so when we start astronomy, right, we talk about the Big Bang, and you know, it's one thing to explain to kids what the Big Bang was or what it is, but then you got to tell the kids it's a theory, you know, and same with evolution, and same with like theory of plate tectonics and like all that stuff. It's all theories, right? They don't understand the concept of what a theory is. They're like, oh, it's a theory, does that mean that like it's not true? I have to explain to them, no, a theory is, you know, something that's been tested over and over and over and over, and until it's proven wrong, it stands true. No matter how many times you test the theory, it always works out to be the same answer. And you know, so after they understand that, it kind of makes more sense to them. So anyway, back to the Big Bang Theory. You tell the kid, you're like, oh, like everything originated from a point of that's infinitely small, infinitely dense. And I draw a dot on the board, right? And then just a dot. And I'm like, okay, if this is where everything was, right? Before the Big Bang happened. And then I point to an area on the board that's to the left or right of the dot. I'm like, so what is this? It's just a blank area. And you know, the kids will raise their hand, they're like, space. I'm like, no, it's not space. And then, you know, a kid will raise their hand and they're like, oh, like that's like, it's just black. I'm like, no, it's not just black. And then they're like, oh, like it's like there's just stuff there, like it's just empty. And you know, like then they're like, oh, what is it? What is it? And you know, I have to explain to them that it doesn't exist. It's not there, right? They can't wrap their heads around it. They're like, so then where's the dot? You know, where's the dot in? Where is it? And you explain to them, it's in it. It is it. It is it. That's it. It's just that. And then another fun one to explain to them is they're like, okay, if the universe is expanding constantly, what is it? What's on the other side, right? And you have to pretty much say, it's pretty much expanding into itself. And that's just like a mind-boggling thing for these kids. You know, granted, I teach, if you just came in, I teach 7th, 8th, 9th grade, so I mean, they're very young. they probably have never heard this before. So it's a very eye-opening experience to hear this stuff talked about. And then, you know, they go home and they watch YouTube videos on it, and they come in and they tell me all this random stuff that I probably never even heard of. But it's cool. That's how you learn. You learn together. That's why I wanted to start doing these little episodes, because maybe, you know, people that are attracted to this type of conversation, I can, you know, learn some stuff myself and then bring it back to the kids, and we'll just, you know, it's mutually beneficial to all parties involved. Another cool thing that is pretty sick is the is light. So obviously light travels at a finite speed, 186,000 miles per second, and it's constant. It's just crazy. It just doesn't change its speed. So, you know, it's about seven times around the planet in 1 second. That's about how fast light travels, right? So what do I have to do here? I'm just killing these birds here. 7 times around the Earth in a second. So then I explained to the kids, I was like, okay, you look at the stars at night, right? A light year is the distance light travels in 1 year, which is like 6 trillion miles. So if you're looking at a star that's 1 light year away, that means you're actually looking at the star as it looked 1 year ago. And they're like, what are you talking about, man? I'm like, every time you look at the sky and the stars and any light that comes from space, you're looking into the past, because the light takes a certain amount of time to travel to you, right? So then I say to them, okay, oh, I got this little quest beacon here. If you go to a planet that's 65 million light years away, and you had a telescope that's powerful enough to see the Earth, and you looked at the Earth from 65 million light years away, you would see the dinosaurs. You would see the dinosaurs on the planet. They would just be walking around. It's because you would see the Earth as it looked 65 million years ago, since you are 65 million light years away. It's absolutely insane to think about. You know, not that you would be able to have a telescope that would work like that, not that you would even be able to get there. It's all theoretical, of course, but it's still fun. I think it's fun.
I don't have a target.
And, you know, it's cool to get the reactions out of them. And then, you know, we actually have stuff to do in class, but all they want to talk about is being able to see the dinosaurs. And then they start asking about time travel, and that's where the conversations get absolutely insane. So we talk about time travel, right? They're like, oh, like, I would travel back in time and, like, you know, not do something bad so that everything would work out. I'm like, alright, go back in time.
Too far away.
If you go back in time and you kill your grandfather, would you ever exist in the first place? Doesn't make any sense. You would break time. What the heck is happening here? I'm doing a little pet battle here, apparently. Yeah, they think it's crazy, like they would, like, you would break, because then you wouldn't, if you killed your grandfather, you wouldn't have existed in the first place, right? Oh my god, this scorpion's just, like, so stupid right now. I don't even want to do this. How do I just exit this? I'll just fight. So then they're like, oh, like, what if you go back in time and killed yourself, or, I don't know, saved yourself from being killed? There's all crazy ways you can break. So I'm gonna go with, I don't think that time travel will ever be a thing, because every time you, so say I were to try time travel right now to the beginning of the stream, right? You would essentially create a new fork in time. You created your own new universe right out of that time travel. You split time. So now you're on a new path. That current path, the other path that's right now, is currently still going. You've just diverted to a new universe. It's nuts to think about. Oh, I'm gonna die. Oh man. Yeah, and then you know you tell them that and they're like, what do you mean you create a new universe? How do I switch my guy here? Here's another pet. Yeah, I really stink at this. I'm really bad at this game. Yeah, so we had a fun time talking about that when we do astronomy. What else? What else? Is there anything I can,
I don't have a target.
got any topics you want me to try to talk about, or what are you interested in? What's your favorite food? You like food? I like food. We talk about food in science all the time because cooking is a science. It really is. It's all chemistry. And you're creating chemical changes with the molecules. You're breaking molecules apart, heating things up. It changes into a new substance. You can't uncook food, right? That'd be cool. You can't uncook an egg and put it back to what it looked like before it cooked. Creating a completely new substance. It's all science.
I don't have a target. I can't loot that.
What the? Oh, my music wasn't even playing at all. That stinks. So there's this like college that's very close to my house, and every summer they do this thing called astronomy night. It's super cool. You go to the college, right, and it's free, and they have like all these really expensive telescopes, and you go to the roof, and of course no one ever wants to go with me. I just go alone because I'm cool like that. I go alone, and they have like 20 telescopes on the roof, and it's all pointed up to the sky, obviously. And the building that the telescopes are on is really, really, really tall. So they wait till it's really dark at night, so you got a nice view of the sky. Unfortunately, if it rains, your experience is ruined. But you know, the last 2 times I went, I've had a good experience because it's been a clear night. So you go, and all the telescopes are pointed to different as like celestial objects. So you can have like, you know, one telescope will be pointed right at Jupiter, one will be pointed at Saturn, one will be pointed at a binary star system where the 2 stars are revolving around each other, and like one star is pretty much eating the other one. Super crazy to look at. They have ones just pointed at random nebulas. Did I do this one already? Yeah. So if you ever get the chance to if you ever get the chance to look through a telescope and see some of these things, or you should definitely take advantage of it because it's quite unbelievable to stare at Jupiter. And you look in the telescope, you see it, right? Or Saturn, you see the rings like through the telescope, and then you take your eye away and you look at that, and it's just a little blip of light. It's unbelievable. And it makes you, you know, it's a humbling experience in my opinion to be able to see that stuff because it just makes you feel like insignificant. It's pretty awesome stuff. I show the kids a video of like you could look it up on YouTube. It's like called star size comparison. They get a kick out of it. It shows you like the Earth and then the sun next to it and how big of a difference of size it is. And then it'll show like the sun next to like Arcturus, which is a humongous star. And it'll just go up and it'll show you how big everything is in relation to one another. And it's amazing. It's a really, really cool video. It's called Star Size Comparison. You should check it out.
Keep it real.
You know what I didn't do enough of in school, and I know this is controversial, but it's a science talk. I definitely did not get to dissect enough things. Now in my school right now, they don't. There's no more of that. There's no more dissecting. Which, and I get it. I get why they would go against that. But at the same time, I was able to do it in school when I was in 8th grade and 9th grade, and I actually did learn a lot, you know, about anatomy, things that you would never be able to see normally without that experience. I don't know. We did the like a cow eyeball and stuff like that, and it was cool. You got to see the parts of the eye and see how the eye works. I went to the eye doctor recently, and I told the eye doctor that I was a science teacher, and you know I haven't been to the eye doctor in a really long time, to be honest. My eye was like doing something weird, so I just went. And it turns out he's like, "Oh, you have perfect vision." And he's like, "Your eyes look really, really good," and whatever. They looked at all the optic nerve and stuff like that. And you know, you go into those places and you see the chair with all the glasses things in front of it, and you're like, I'm like, wow, like this is like the coolest doctor to go to, because all those like the mirrors and the guy's like looking into your eye, and then he flips the mirror down and it like zooms in for him. I wish I could and I asked him, I was like, oh, I'm jealous like what he was able to see, like what he was seeing inside my eye. It's really cool. They shine the light and it hits off the back of your eye and gives you a picture of the optic nerve. It's all cool stuff, man. I mean, it's you gotta take a second to, you know, appreciate the, you know, whoever created these things. It's just unbelievable that we're at this point and we're alive during this. You know, what are the chances that we're alive during this section of our technology advances? Like, I'm sitting across the world live, you know, in my own house. It's crazy. Good time to be alive. We could have easily have been alive during the hunters and gatherers and been out there trying to get some berries today, but instead we're able to sit in a comfy chair with a surrounded by be able to do whatever we want on the internet. It's just a really, really, really cool thing. I'm definitely glad that. Oh, that's the pet tracker that's doing that. Sorry, I'm you know, multitasking, obviously. Tracker. / pet tracker. I don't know how to disable that, whatever. You know, it's pretty cool actually. I can't actually explain it, but I have a tough time explaining this concept to the kids. There's pictures, I don't know, it's a famous iPhone background. It looks like a bunch of stars. It's the Milky Way galaxy, essentially, from the Earth. That's what the Milky Way looks like. And it's an awesome picture. If you search Milky Way galaxy on Google, it'll come up. It's like a view of the Milky Way from Earth. And it's hard to explain what it actually is. Like, it just looks like a streak of stars across the sky, and diagonal it's like all purple and pink colors and everything. But the view of it is actually there because we're inside of the Milky Way galaxy, right? So we're looking into the center of the galaxy in that stripe. It's really bizarre. It's super cool. I was just telling my kids the other day, there's these cool apps on your phone if you like astronomy or you're into like astrology or like looking at stars or finding planets or anything like that. There is a app you could download called Star Map 3D Plus. That's the one that I like, at least. And what it does is it'll use the GPS in your phone to tell you how to move your camera, and you can actually, it'll say, oh, if you want to find Jupiter, just move your camera to the left, like follow the arrow, and it'll point your camera at Jupiter and you'll know where it is in the sky. It's super cool. They have like all types of knockoffs of it. I don't know. Actually, Star Map 3D Plus is old, so they might have a better one. But it's like a GPS star tracker app, and there's a lot of free ones. I found some of the free ones sometimes to be finicky. Like even like I see the moon. I see the moon and it's like pointing me. It's not like perfectly on it, but you know they have a lot of them that do work. And if it does, you can like find certain constellations. You can, you know, you can click on a star and it'll tell you how far away it is.
I don't have a target.
It's super duper crazy stuff. And again, it's amazing that we have the ability to do that. One day I would like to name a star after me. There's enough of them, right? So, I wonder how much that costs. I don't know. Don't know how much that would cost. I was asking, I asked a question to my kids today because we were doing, talking about the moon, right? I was like, oh, the moon's not that exciting. It's just, you know, like a giant rock, pretty much. And, one sec, I'm just trying to, adjust something with my sound real quick. I do like my, what is that called? Sound equalizer? Not an equalizer, it's like a sound mixer. Adjust system volume, is that it? There we go, that's what I want. I'm just gonna turn down my game volume because it's a little too loud. What the heck was I just talking about? This is what happened with me. It's the same thing in school. I don't even remember what I was just talking about. What was I talking about? I'm gonna give myself about 5 seconds to try to remember, and if not, oh yeah. Naming stars. Is that what I was talking about? I don't even know. Damn. Oh yeah. I remember. Talking about the moon. So I asked the kids. I was like, why does the moon during the night, or whenever you see the moon outside, roughly look the same size as what the sun looks like? And you know, I got some crazy answers, obviously, from them. They're like, oh, the gravity, I don't know why they would say that. You know, they said like something to do with the brightness or whatever. And it turns out, believe it or not, it's the same reason why we coincidentally get perfect solar eclipses, total solar eclipses on the planet. The moon is roughly 400 times, well, go the opposite. The sun is about 400 times bigger in diameter than the moon, but it's 400 times further away. So when they do end up lining up, the moon will cover the sun perfectly, which is pretty cool. It's just completely coincidental. So they actually do have a hard time grasping that concept. Another thing is, it's actually shocking that mostly all, you know, a lot of people that you ask on this world what the reason for the seasons changing are, they don't know the answer. They say, you know, I'll ask them, what season do you think we're closest to? And the sun in. And I guarantee you ask this, 75% of people are going to say it's the summer, right? Which is completely not true. We're closest in the winter. And that's just baffling to most people. How could we be closest to the sun in the winter if it's so hot? It just doesn't make any sense to people. But then you do a whole explanation of how the distance from the sun is negligible throughout the year, from summer to winter. It's like a couple million miles difference, which is like nothing on the cosmic scale, right? But it has to do completely with the tilt. So then we talk, you know, in the summer, we're tilted towards the sun. So you have a higher angle of insolation, more direct sunlight. Gonna heat up. But next time you go out somewhere random with your friends or something, go ask them what they think, what season they think we're closest to the sun. I 100% guarantee you that they'll say the summer. There was some crazy like hurricane that not hurricane, what am I talking about? Volcano that Hawaii that hit Hawaii that Hawaii was exposed to. So it just so happened that that whole volcano incident was around the time that we were talking about volcanoes in my class. So it was actually nice to, anytime I could bring in current events for the kids, you know, it's important because it makes them, you know, have meaning behind what we're doing, right? So anytime you can relate current events to the content would be, ooh, nice ring, would be absolutely optimal. We want to use this ring here? Let's just put that right there. I'm still, you know, in the back of my head, I'm always thinking, what's like a project that I can let them do that they would get a kick out of? I've done a project where I have had the kids do weather forecasting, and we check the weather, and, you know, we see if they're right based on looking at weather models and things like that. That's pretty cool. They actually, believe it or not, it's amazing how accurate an 8th grade kid can be in a forecast compared to actual meteorologists on television. When you teach them how to use the models and the maps, they can figure it out. You know, even though weather has a little bit of unpredictability to it, it also does have a lot of predictability to it. Oh man, this is a bad spot for this game right now. We're in a bad position. Oh god. Come on. Oh, I'm gonna try to freeze this guy. Alright, got that guy frozen. I think, I don't know if anyone knows the answer to this. The kid asked me the other day, they're like, how far down into the earth have we dug a hole, right? It's amazing what these questions these kids come up with, and it's amazing, you know, because they're really good questions, and then, you know, over the years of getting these crazy questions, you figure out what the answers are. I think it's about 6 miles we went underground, and then we had to stop. We stopped for some reason. I don't know if it was because there was no point to dig any further. Like, these people that were digging or drilling down, they were like, why are we digging? Why are we doing this? Like, we already know what the earth is made out of inside. We know where the different layers of the earth start and where they end. We know all that. We know what it's made of. We know the composition of it because we study earthquake waves. But the guy was probably digging the hole. He's like, where are we going? Like, why are we drilling a hole 6 miles into the ground? Like, what is the objective here? They probably just stopped and, like, put a sign on the top, like, don't walk over this hole. I forget, I read something online that was like, if you were to fall through the whole earth, or like, from, you know, cut a hole from one side to the other and jump, I think it would take, like, you know, between an hour and a half and 2 hours to fall through the whole thing. Can you imagine? It's like, alright, see you later. And you're just literally falling for 2 hours and you just come out the other side. Not that that's possible because you would be crushed instantly with the gravity. But theoretically, if it was possible, I think it's like an hour and a half of falling. That'd be like the most extreme ride on the planet. No, I'm sure there's someone that would be paid to do it. Just to say they would be the person that does it. Speaking of which, that whole mission to Mars thing that we're currently doing right now is pretty crazy. It's gonna be like, I swear to God, they better not turn it into some like crazy reality show. What the heck is this? That's interesting. A tar trap. So apparently, like, I remember when they did it years ago. They put out a like application, right? And you could essentially apply to be one of the first people aboard the shuttle that's going to go to Mars, right? The problem is it's a one-way trip. We don't have the technology to get the people that end up going to get back, right? So essentially we're gonna get these people there. It's like a 9-month journey or whatever. And then once they take off, they're gonna send another rocket behind them with food and supplies and water, right? So they gotta calculate this unbelievable, you know, we've landed a rover on Mars, fine, and that was successful and it was amazing. It was probably, you know, if you were on the stream for NASA to watch their reaction, it was an unbelievable moment for humans that we did that. It's unbelievable. But to do it again with human lives, to get them to land on it, and then they have to bank on also getting another ship to land on it right behind them. If that thing goes off course a little bit, it could be the difference between landing within a half mile of them or 500 miles away, that their supply ship. And if it's 500 miles away, then what are they gonna do? It's gonna take 9 months to send something else. You know what I mean? They're gonna be dead. They wouldn't last a day. And then not to mention, okay, there's gonna be like, I don't know how many people they said, what is it gonna be, like 12 to 15 people or whatever, 20 people, I don't even know that they're gonna send. These people are gonna be the only people that are gonna have, like, make the human species last with these 20 people. And they gotta, you know, get along. The psychological toll that it would take on these people to be around the same people for 9 months straight trying to survive, it'd be like, I really hope they don't turn it into a reality show somehow. I swear to God, that would be horrible.
I need a target.
You know, with this world today and freaking like people becoming famous like Jersey Shore, I wouldn't be surprised if they turned the mission to Mars into a reality TV show. Who would you like to vote off the planet next? That would be god awful. But you know what? Nothing surprises me anymore. So we had a kid in one of my colleagues' classes. We talk about the life cycle of a star. So we talk about how our sun right now is a red giant. It's going to turn into a red giant, which means it's going to start getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and eventually it's going to engulf the planet. And there's a girl that actually started hysterical crying in one of my friends' class. I feel so, because she was so upset that the Earth was going to be gone, right? I know, you feel so bad for the girl. But then, you know, my friend was like, don't worry, it's not gonna happen for like 5 billion years. You don't have to cry. And it didn't help. So the next day when it came up again, she started crying again. Can't handle the fact that in 5 billion years the Earth's gonna be gone. Poor girl. I don't know if anyone in here was able to view the solar eclipse at all last summer. But if you went to like South Carolina, or if you're in the US and you went to South Carolina, you might have been able to see, you know, the total solar eclipse. I'm not in South Carolina, I'm in the Northeast. So we had a partial, and I, unfortunately, since it was such a big deal, I was not able to get a pair of those eclipse glasses. Oh, what's this? A 16 slot bag. I don't need that. I wasn't able to get one of those eclipse glasses. So I had to try to make my own way to view the eclipse. So I got essentially this like cardboard box, a cereal box, and you cut out one side of it, or you just cut it. I forget how I did it. I watched a YouTube video on how to do it, and you poke holes in it. Essentially, you're making like a cardboard camera lens where it's going to let the light through the box, and you can view the eclipse inside the box. So you don't actually have to look at the sun, because you can go like blind, or you get serious eye damage if you stare at that thing. Even though the moon is blocking out most of the light, you're able to look at it dead on, but you don't realize there's all those UV radiation. It's just blasting you in the face. So it's extremely dangerous. So, moral of the story, oh my god, these guys are so bad. My my cereal box viewer was really bad. It gave me a horrible view. So of course, me, the science teacher, and I did not follow my own advice. I took glimpses of it, like straight on, without any protection. I didn't stare that much. But next time I get the opportunity, which I think the next solar eclipse that I could be able to see is in 2024. That's the next one that comes through the Northeast. I'm gonna definitely buy my eclipse glasses like a year in advance. Because, and you know what, at the end of the day, it was super cool that all these people came together and they put it on like on all over the news, and it was like a celebration of science that day, where everyone was actually interested in science. I think kids take for granted in school how practical and applicable it is in their life. I don't think science is a subject where the kids can say, why do we have to learn this? I don't think that's, I barely get kids saying that, because it is their life. You know what I mean? Yeah, once I tell them that we're made of carbon, and mostly carbon, and all the elements in the universe were created inside the core of a star, as it blew up in supernova, and the kids figure out that they're made from stars, then it becomes a little bit different story in terms of, you know, how the kids engage in the class, how intrigued they are. You know, you can literally, for me, you know, I'm full of all this random knowledge. I could be talking about anything and just randomly throw a interesting fact at them and have them captivated. And then just go right back to the subject, and it just brings them back, gets them back engaged in whatever we're doing, no matter what it is. Don't get me wrong, there's some material in science class or in any class that's dry. Like, there's not many kids that are interested in erosion and deposition. Oh, I forgot this quest. Captain Clump. Ogre 10. How do I get that? I'm sorry, I'm just sidetracking here. I thought it was somewhere over here. I think someone got it. Yeah, I don't think it's here. So yeah, I try to just throw out random facts once in a while to get the kids to bring. Oh, got some food here. Get them engaged. Doesn't matter what it is, and then just bring them right back. Yeah, no kid's gonna be interested in like how erosion changes the sides of cliffs. Now that's like unavoidable, but you can kind of make it interesting if you say, check out what this lighthouse looks like before erosion, and then show them a picture of the lighthouse 200 years later, and all the land is gone on one side of it, and it's like about to fall into the ocean. You know, then you could go into the fact that geologists right now are needed desperately, at least in the United States. They're very rare to come by, and it's an extremely high-paying position. Real estate agents need them. They need them to, you know, check out certain land to see if it's worth it to build. What the heck? To see if it's worth it to build in an area over the next 100 years. Is that area even going to be there anymore? So geologists are 100% very needed in the United States right now. There's this cool like website that you can type in your weight and you can click like next, and it'll tell you what you weigh on all the different planets or different objects in the solar system. Like you can like, it'll do the calculation based on how much gravity that the object has, right? So the idea is the bigger the object, the more massive it is, the more gravity it's going to have. So that's why when astronauts go to the moon, right, they look like they're jumping everywhere in slow motion, because they actually weigh like a sixth of what they actually weigh. So I would weigh like 40 pounds on the moon. But it's cool because you can see what your weight would be like on the sun. And it's like 5,000 pounds or something. I would weigh like 5,000 pounds on the sun. Pretty crazy. Essentially, you'd die. Body cannot support 5,000 pounds. But it's cool to think about. I have this worksheet that I make all my kids fill out. It tells you how to do the calculations and how to do all the math to figure out what you weigh in all the planets, and they figure it out with the calculator, and they get a kick out of it. Like, oh my god, I would weigh 700 pounds on Jupiter. And then I also tell them, like, Jupiter takes, like, I don't know the number off the top of my head, like 14 years or something to revolve around the sun. I don't know the number. That's probably wrong. So then I'm like, oh, you would be, if you go to Jupiter, you guys would be like 1. But you would still look like, you guys is what a 1-year-old would look like on Jupiter. They don't really understand that. So I'm just still rambling, as you could see. Does anyone want to tell me what their favorite food is? I really like a good slice of pizza. Or some ice cream. But it's a running joke in my family. I am the only person apparently who can stop eating ice cream in the middle of eating ice cream. Apparently that is like a impossible thing to do. But when I'm full, I'm full. I tell them when I'm full, I'm full. Doesn't matter. Alright, so we just cleared this dungeon, so now we could dance. Let's 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 dance. Oh wait, we didn't kill these two other guys. Oh, we'll go kill them. Trying to think of, we had an argument if the kids think that aliens exist or if they don't exist. And I love asking the kids this question because, you know, it's a huge debate. And then when I tell them my opinion on it, then it makes even more of a debate. So most of the kids say they don't think there's aliens, and then you get kids that are like, they say yes, but no one has proof, right? We don't have proof. And I tell them, I'm like, two things, the two ultimate questions that humans have, right? Where did we come from is the first one. Where did we come from? We don't know the answer, right? And the second question is, are we alone in the universe, right? That's another question we don't know the answer to. We have theories. We definitely have theories of where we come from. And we are going to try to answer those questions by trying to find life on other places. Where the heck is this guy? I don't even know. I'm gonna leave this group because I don't want to do that. You know, if we could find traces of life on Mars that are similar to the life on our planet, then we might be able to conclude that the life on our planet came from Mars, right? If that's the case, our ancestors might actually be Martians from Mars. But until we prove,
I can't loot that.
or until we find life, there's no way we're gonna ever know. And you know, I have a funny feeling. I think that in my lifetime,
I don't have a target.
I'm 27. I think in my lifetime that we're gonna find life. I really do.
I need to get closer.
We're so close. I mean, we know that there was water that flowed on Mars. So I think that, you know, any day now, someone's gonna come out and be like, we found a little bacteria on Mars that's alive, or we're going to Europa and we found, you know, we're sending a rover to Europa, one of the moons of Jupiter. They think there's liquid water there, right? So they're gonna send someone to dig through the ice or whatever it is, the solid stuff, get to this liquid, or it's not liquid water, liquid like something, liquid methane, I don't even know what it is. And maybe they'll find life. I hope they do. Because statistically, right, the Earth right now, we're one planet in one solar system, around one star, in a galaxy, one galaxy that's full of billions of stars with all their own planets, right? And we're only one galaxy out of the billions of galaxies in the universe. So how could you possibly think that we're alone? It statistically doesn't make any sense. If we do the math, we have a higher probability of not being alone than we do being alone. I would bet all my pennies that we are not alone. I don't know if you guys would prefer me to keep ranting about random things, or are you mainly here? Do you want to hear more about like the teaching? You could type in the chat, so I know what you think. But I don't know if you're interested in hearing about more of the teaching, or more of like just random science stuff. I forgot to update my YouTube. I'm just gonna do that really quick. There we go. I don't know if you guys prefer, I'm typing in the chat, do you prefer talking about just science, or would you like me to talk more about teaching? And just let me know, like, because then I could cater to what you would like to hear about. I don't, if you're just waiting for me to keep talking about teaching, I'm just ranting about aliens, then that's probably not as interesting to you as if I would just talk about teaching, or vice versa. Whatever you would like. I can go on forever about anything. So I did this one lesson with my 8th graders to teach them about the phases of the moon. And what we did was I bought a bunch of those styrofoam balls from like a craft shop, and I put like dowel rods into them, and I set up about 8 or 9 different light bulbs that were on like stands all around the room, and we plugged them in. I plugged them all in. And we shut the lights off, and what the kids did was they hold the ball, which is the moon, supposed to be the moon, on a stick. Their eyes are the planet with what you would see on the Earth, and the light bulb represents the sun. So when they put when they hold the ball to the sun, right, they see the phase of the moon, and as they revolve like this, they can see all the different phases of the moon on the white styrofoam ball. And I thought it was a really cool visualization for the kids to see how the phases of the moon in the sky change. Because the reason that the phases in the moon in the sky change is because the moon revolves around the Earth. If the moon didn't revolve around the Earth, we would not get the phases that we do right now. Wouldn't work the same. And they ended up really, really liking it. The kids thought it was really good. They just had fun standing there, spinning in circles and looking at the shadows and the light across the ball. They got a kick out of it. I got a kick out of watching them. There's this really cool video that I saw, and you could play it through your speakers, but I have pretty loud speakers in my classroom. It's the entire audible sound range from the lowest frequency to the highest frequency of sound. And it's crazy. So they actually show you the waveforms on the screen, and they'll show you the decibel level of sound, or not the decibel level, they'll show you the frequency of the wave in hertz. Frequency is measured in hertz. So you see, like, and you watch what the wave looks like. So in the beginning, they show like a really, really low frequency. It's like, I don't even know, like 10 hertz it starts out with, which is, you can't hear it. It's such a low pitch, and the wave is so giant. The wavelength is just enormous, and it ramps up like constantly. So it goes from 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and you hear how different the sound is as the wavelength decreases and the frequency goes up. So as you go from a low frequency wave to a high frequency wave, the pitch gets higher, and eventually when you're at like 10, 11,000 hertz, it's piercing loud. Piercing. You can actually hear the sound reverberate through the whole school hallway. It's so piercing loud. Don't mind me taking water breaks. One of the things, like today I had a very involved day at school, so I was constantly talking a lot, and I'm coming home right now and just talking. So my voice has not had a second today. And it's not like I talk low in front of 30 kids all day. They're very loud, so. Cool.
It's too far away.
Level 50. So obviously I'm sure you've heard of Fortnite before. It's the game everyone's playing. It's funny, I don't know if you guys have played it, but when you jump out of the bus to go down, right, onto the island, you actually hear the bus, the horn of the bus, go through the Doppler effect. Doppler effect is when, as the sound's moving away from you, the pitch decreases. So this happens all the time, like with race cars, where it goes, right? That's the Doppler effect. So when we were doing the Doppler effect, the kids didn't understand why we were doing it. So then I played them a video of the Fortnite bus, and they all knew what I was talking about. And then, you know, from that point on, all they keep saying is, oh, all I hear is the Doppler effect now when I'm playing Fortnite. Yeah. I get these, like... yeah. So it's pretty cool. Anytime I could possibly relate... oh, he said congratulations to me. Thank you. Anytime I can relate material to the kids' real life, I try to do that as much as possible. And you know what? They don't forget that kind of stuff. And then they tell their family, they tell their friends. And it's cool. I just, you know, my ultimate goal at the end of the day is to get people to enjoy science and appreciate what it has done for us in our lives and what it continues to do, and, you know, appreciate all those genius people who, you know, research every day to come out with these technologies that make our life easier and more enjoyable. It's pretty cool. I think it's great. dungeon. So I'm gonna join this dungeon right now. I'm gonna go to the bathroom really quick, and I'm gonna get a pair of socks. So I'm gonna be back in like 25 seconds. 1 second. Alright. Putting on the headset. Alright, cool. Socks are nice. Another invention that is genius. All about insulators and conductors. So my feet are giving off heat, which if my feet are giving off heat, that's gonna make my feet cold. Right? So we put these socks on, made of wool, which are the best socks ever created. In my opinion, everyone should own at least.
Class is now in
Speak of teaching, we're in Scholomance, which is a school dungeon. That's a problem. Oh man, I almost made a big mistake. The wool acts as an insulator, and it doesn't let as much heat escape my foot, thus making my feet warm. Thank God, because they're freezing. And I got the hiccups. Oh. So I thought another cool thing that we should do is possibly be able to fly to an asteroid. A lot of them pass us all the time. I don't know if you hear in the news. And my kids always freak out when I tell them there's going to be an asteroid that passes really close to us. They're like, oh my god, we're going to die. But, you know, some of them pass pretty close. But thankfully none of them have been in, gotten through any keyholes. A keyhole is a location in space where if an asteroid passes through it, it's going to be on a collision course with the planet Earth. So whenever we're tracking asteroids, we do not want, we calculate where the keyhole will be based on the revolution of the Earth and the elliptical orbit of the asteroid. And we track the asteroid with computer models, and hopefully it doesn't get through that keyhole. Else we have a massive issue, which we'll talk about, if I remember, in a few minutes. But the problem with this is that only asteroids that we know, that we can find, that we detect, have to be above a certain size. There are so many asteroids, or meteors, or anything that could be catastrophic to the Earth if they hit, that we can actually not we can't detect them until it's too late. And then I have kids like, why don't we just blow up the asteroid before it hits us? And then I say to them, okay, you blow up the asteroid, we'll send some nukes at the asteroid. If we actually do hit it, now we have like 1,000 chunks of asteroid that are coming at us.
I can never die.
So that would be even worse. Well, at the end it does not even worse because we're gonna be dead anyway. But oh my gosh. A good idea how to deflect an asteroid
This cannot be.
would be, oh, that's a good little item there that I just got. In my opinion, a good asteroid deflecting tactic would be launch a couple rockets up into space with like thrusters or boosters on them, land the rockets, attach them with like drills, drill into the asteroid so that the rocket is securely fastened to the asteroid, and land them in areas that when we turn the boosters on, we might be able to put enough thrust onto the asteroid to move the asteroid in space, right? Thus not letting it get through the keyhole. Thus it will not be on a collision course with us. I feel like that's the most, out of everything I've looked into, that seems like the most logical way to go about it. I was talking to some of my kids about the Andromeda Galaxy, which is the closest galaxy to our galaxy, which is the Milky Way. And in a couple billion years, or million, I think billion, Andromeda is actually going to collide with Earth, not Earth, with the Milky Way. Which is going to be the best fireworks show ever, because we're just going to see stars that are flying by us that were normally not there. But the crazy part is that there's going to be no collisions when that actually happens. Because everything's so far apart, right? So it's actually, nothing's going to even hit each other. Even though they're two galaxies, the stars are going to be so far apart that nothing's going to collide. Or if it did, you know, a very small chance that it does.
Oh, it takes some real stones
Oh, no.
to challenge the mistress of illusion.
These guys just
Show me what you
attack the
got.
boss before we kill these monsters first. That's the problem. I don't know if anyone's ever seen a comet before. Like in real life, I personally haven't had the opportunity to see a comet,
Come,
but
try your luck.
I would definitely love to. I think that'd be awesome. They're unpredictable, they follow predictable paths, the comets. So you should be, you know, able to look up where the comet is and when it's going to pass us and the optimal viewing time to see them.
Feeling a bit dizzy?
It's just pretty much a rock, ice, dirt, ball of it. They call them dirty snowballs as a nickname. It's just ice, dirt, rock. And the comet's tail is actually created based off of the sun. As the comet approaches the sun, the gases on the tail ionize, and they're blown off of the comet in the opposite direction of the sun. So, a comet's tail actually always points in the opposite direction that the sun is.
You there. Make
Very cool.
yourselves useful and deal with these summoners.
But the tail of the comet is just glowing gases, essentially. And I would definitely love to see one.
Their deaths only serve to empower my summoners further. Behold!
To feed their souls to their brethren? You are sick.
What's the matter, boss? Getting tired?
I'll never stop hunting your kind, necromancer.
So, I'm just still rambling, obviously. Oh man. So, I don't know if you guys know what an astrolabe is, an astrolabe, however you want to say it.
We'll see if you revel so much in death
It's pretty much a device
your throat.
that you can buy that measures the altitude of stars in the sky, so you can get how many degrees high the star is. Now, why would you need to know how high a star is, you might ask?
I am
Anyone know? What is the significance of why you would need to know the altitude of a star?
Beautiful, boss. Have you looked in a mirror recently?
What the heck? I died. I'm coming back, guys. Anyway. You would want to know the altitude of a star because, like, say for the North Star, for example, the North Star is named Polaris. If you figure out how many degrees high the North Star is, you can figure out what latitude you are on the planet.
I will not let you
So this is actually how sailors used to navigate. The North Star was crucial because the North Star Polaris is pretty much in line with the Earth's axis as it turns, so it doesn't move.
once I catch my breath.
Come, boss. Your fate awaits you.
So if Polaris doesn't move, that means, you know, you have something that always points north, and you can always find your latitude. You always know how north or south you are on the Earth. Pretty good. Oh my gosh, I am really getting destroyed right now. I also think something that we have to really look into doing is I don't know if you guys ever played Spore. It's an old computer game, but essentially you start off as bacteria and you grow into like a species. We have to learn how to like terraform a planet. That would be like if we go to Mars, right? Essentially, first we have to create these giant bubbles that we would be able to pump air into. And live in the bubbles to survive. And while we live in these bubbles, we have to learn how to terraform the planet. Meaning we have to add an atmosphere. Mars' atmosphere is thin and poisonous. Therefore, not optimal for human life. I think we are ways away from being able to do that. To be honest, I think in my lifetime we're gonna find life. I don't even know if in my lifetime we're gonna be able to have the technology to terraform. That would be like... Seems like it's very far away. There's this controversial spaceship that was launched in 1977 called the Voyager, and the Voyager 2, which was also launched in 1977. They're controversial because they contain hundreds of pictures and documents and sounds and information about the human race, and essentially they uploaded all these things to a spacecraft and they launched it into space, and it's just going in a straight line, and we're hoping that, you know, it's got the coordinates and directions of how to get to us, how to communicate with us, and a lot of people are really upset about this, because if there actually is an alien species that intercept this, I mean, there's a chance that they could destroy us. I mean, they could just like click a button and blow us up. Or they'll be like, wow, look at this planet. It's got a lot of resources. Wow, this species is not powerful at all. I could just go there and squish them and then take all their resources, and we'll just like pour out the earth like an apple core and take everything and kill us all.
I am the Dark Master. I command the undead.
I won't let you.
Lovely rune blades on our guests. And
I mean,
fit for
I
their
don't
bones.
blame them to be worried about such a thing, but to be honest, our race is just putting ourselves out there so much to find other life, and I guess there is a chance at the same time that we find life that ends up helping us. You know, they think all those crop circles and the reasons that the pyramids and all that stuff was created was because aliens came down and helped us figure that out, because we still don't know how any of that stuff was built. We can't even build it with the technology we have now, so how did they do it?
It is time for your transformation.
It's just so perfect. You know, like, I don't remember, something was like, the pyramids are the same exact size as the diameter of the Earth, or something crazy, I don't even know. But like, that's just stuff that makes your head spin.
Your soul
How would they
is
be able to
mine.
build so perfectly like that when we don't even know how they do it now? Egypt is definitely on my bucket list of places to go. Oh, I gotta actually pay attention because this guy's gonna chase me and I gotta run. Run!
Why let a perfectly good corpse go to waste?
I wonder if they're ever gonna send another animal into space.
Intriguing. Her spirit
I know they
will
sent
not
monkeys,
relinquish
right?
grasp on this world. How does it feel?
I wonder if they're able to, they're gonna do that again. I don't know. Now we're just so focused on sending humans.
Leave me to die alone, please.
I love talking to the kids about the kids that think we haven't landed on the moon. That's the funniest. What are these guys doing in this game? Oh. What the heck? The game is bugging out right now? Oh, alright, well. Uh-oh, I'm gonna die. This was so stupid. I'm sorry, guys. I made a boo-boo. I made a big boo-boo.
I can feel her will.
I was talking to my kids the other day about,
Soul burns so brightly.
Oh, I think we're okay. Worked. Okay. Talking to the kids about speed of light, and I was talking to them about all this stuff Einstein discovered, how as you approach traveling at the speed of light, time actually slows down, right? So we talked about how if I actually have a bunch of sets of twins as students, and we talked about one set of twins, and I was like, oh, if one of you stayed on the Earth and the other of you accelerated to the speed of light for 5 years and came back, one of you would have aged 5 years that stayed on Earth, and the other wouldn't have aged at all. And they all get like tripped out by all that stuff. It's so fun to think about, though. Looking for a book on one of these tables. Oh, it's over there, I see it. Uh-oh. I think it's called the twin paradox. When you're a science teacher, you kind of, you know, over time find out all like the coolest little theories and paradoxes and stuff like that to get the kids engaged in what you're doing. The twin paradox is a crazy, crazy, crazy thing because it's impossible. We can't even travel at like 1% of the speed of light or something dumb like that. I might have just made up that percentage. It might be way higher than that. I think a rocket ship has an exit velocity of like 26,000 miles per hour. You know, and that's pretty fast. It's definitely faster than my car. Oh my gosh. Oh, we're gonna win this one. We're gonna be okay. Yep, we are. 26,000 miles per hour, that's pretty fast, yeah. But it's cool to think about all the theoretical things you could do, even though it's not, you know, it's technically possible physically. I have a lot of kids come back to me over the years that are like, oh, you got me so into science, like I pursued, you know, won all these awards and competitions. And that's awesome. Maybe they'll be the next person to invent something great. I don't know. Other misconceptions, like, I don't know why or when the kids are taught this, but for some reason a lot of my kids thought their blood was blue because if you look at your veins are blue. And then they think that, oh, when you get a cut, since the oxygen hits the blood, it makes the blood turn red when the oxygen hits it. That's like really sad that the kids are taught that. The real reason that your veins look blue is because your skin is made of skin cells, and the skin cells only allow blue light to escape. All the other colors are absorbed. This is the reason that any color is anything. And no, I said that backwards. This is the reason that anything is any color, because that substance, like blue paint, it only lets blue light come out, so you see it as blue. By the way, I am going to wrap this stream up around 9 o'clock tonight, so I don't know if anyone in the chat has any, like I have about 9 or 10 minutes left, so I don't know if anyone in the chat has any specific topics they want me to talk about. You could just type in the box in a message and, you know, shoot it out, and you know, I could go off that. I'd love to, you know, entertain any questions, or you want to talk about something else, or whatever you want to do. Or I could just keep talking randomly for 10 minutes like I have been for the last 2 hours. You know what's pretty cool? We know that the inner core of the Earth, the interior of the Earth, inner core and outer core, are made up of iron and nickel, the two metals. The inner core of the Earth is actually a solid, but the outer core of the Earth is a liquid. It's so hot inside the Earth, why would the inner core not be a liquid? Why would it not melt if it's so far inside the Earth? It's the inner core, right? And the reason the inner core is a solid is because of the pressure, the overlying pressure. Oh God. The overlying pressure of the whole Earth is pressing down, and it's forcing it to become a solid, which is pretty cool. Oh wow, I got some good gloves there. Alright. So I'm actually gonna, unless someone wants to talk in the chat and tell me, I'm gonna just talk about this game for the last couple minutes, because I have quite the inventory full of stuff in this last 2 hours that I've accumulated, as you can see, and I have to clean this out and put it up for sale in the auction house here before I get off for the night. I'm getting actually emails from kids that I have to respond to as well, because they have a big test tomorrow. So let's just sell all this stuff. And we're gonna look in the bags. I'm gonna organize the bags, and as I can see, I got this necklace here, which is not as good as what I have. I got these, which are better, so I'm gonna put those on. Got this ring, which gives me, this is better than the Gordok nose ring. I got this is better than the Tunthless bandit ring thing. Good. Now I can, this one I can get rid of, that I could get rid of, this I could get rid of, this I could get rid of. And I'm going to open these bags up. That's not as good. This belt is better, so I'm going to wear that. So now I can disenchant all of this stuff. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oops. 5, 6. By the way, guys, anyone in here, I'm gonna be streaming again, doing the same thing tomorrow night around 8:30 p.m. I think. That it's my mom's birthday tomorrow, so that might change. If you follow me on Twitter at ZForceOfficial, I'm gonna send out tweets sporadically about the exact time that I'll be coming on. But somewhere between 8:30 and 9:30, you can count on. I'll definitely be live. But if you follow my channel or you follow me on Twitter, I'll keep that updated. And I'm gonna probably do like the same thing as what I did tonight. Do like a little science version, science Q&A, science rambling. So I got lesser stamina here, enchant bracer, so I'm gonna do this. I got 11 of these, so I can boost up my enchanting skill here. Now that went to yellow, so I'm not gonna do anything else there. I'm gonna actually go to the enchanting trainer to learn the new thing. And I have so many of these stupid recipes. All the same thing, actually. Must not be that rare. Any feedback would be most appreciated if anyone wants to tell me what they thought about this episode 1, the pilot episode of streaming with the science teacher. If you liked something, if you didn't like something, if you want me to add something. Oh, look at all this stuff. Yeah, if you want me to add content or you didn't enjoy something that I did, please let me know, because I'm always looking to, you know, I'm a teacher, so I appreciate any constructive criticism. Look at all this stuff that I got. Lesser striking. Yeah, we're gonna do that. I'm gonna make 9 of those. Oh, I can't use that? Enchants a melee weapon. Do I have any melee weapons? I don't think I do. Oh, I do. I can do this stupid wand. Nice. Yeah, like I said, I'm a teacher, so I definitely appreciate any constructive criticism that you could possibly offer me. Oh, this is 6 now. Bracers. And then this is 5 again. So I'm gonna do the wand. Where'd that wand go? Here we go. 4. I lost the wand again. I'm an idiot. There it is. 3, 2, then go back to here. This is gonna be the bracers again. Trying to get my enchanting skill up here. 2. I actually was able to get a lot of points here, if you can see in the bottom right. Which is pretty awesome. Oh, and then we can get one more defense cloak. Alright, I used all my materials. And we could get these 3. Nice. I can't do anything else right now. We made it to 169. When is the next thing that I get? 170 all the way up to 200. Okay. Alright, so now that we have all of our enchanting stuff, we're going to try to put all this stuff onto the auction house as much as we can. is 9 p.m. So I guess we're gonna go a couple minutes over 2 hours, which is no big deal. Okay, so here we go, auction house. We're gonna go to auctioning and start a post scan. And our application is going to pretty much tell us what price to sell all this stuff at so that we could sell it. Now I don't want to sell my enchanting stuff. Like, I'm not going to sell these strange dusts. I'm not going to sell that. I'm not going to sell the wand because I might need that. Silver leaf, I'm going to sell. This recipe, definitely. The kite shield, I'm not. Shadow gem, no. Balloon star, no. Silk, soul silk, yes. All this stuff, I'm going to... Everything over here. Wow, goblin jumper cables. I got 572 gold, possibly. The light illusion dust, nope. Greater Eternal Essence? Definitely not selling that. Elixir of Giant Growth. Post. Alright, so that's a lot of stuff that I put. But look how much stuff is left over. I'm gonna sell most of this other garbage, because what am I gonna do with all this? I'm gonna sell this stuff now. I don't know why that stuff's not being posted. Sell all that. Sell this. Sell this. Sell that meat. Alright, so that's it. So, I'm gonna say thanks for coming. This has been Z-Force right here. /wave. Have a great night. See you tomorrow between 8:30 and 9:30 p.m. Good night.